These these hearings are going to turn out to be a lot more interesting than I thought. I guess I didn't know what the tone would be going into this, but I guess they're taking it seriously, which I appreciate. I'm going to be very disappointed if this ends up being an indictment of Trump first and foremost. This needs to be an indictment of the entire Republican Party, not only the people who flubbed and walked off of it, like Powell or Giuliani or whatever, and Trump, but all the like everyone in the party. The knowledge that people in Republican Congress were petitioning for preemptive pardons from Donald Trump for their involvement in January 6th is insane. These people should all be tried for sedition. They should spend the rest of their lives in jail. Whatever the maximum penalty is for sedition is too low. Like this isn't even about vindictiveness. Our democracy literally can't survive people like this in office. There's no such thing as an institution so powerful that it survives being occupied entirely by bad faith actors. It's not possible. Not that can't happen. That's a fantasy system. In real life, when bad faith actors crowd your system, eventually they will break it, and they are all complicit. Only a few members of the Republican Party stood up, like, directly, Mitt Romney being an example of one. People who actually did pretty directly and unequivocally, like, denounce everything that was happening. Sure, give Mitt Romney a cake or something, great, go for it. But for the rest of them, for most of them, like, they were 100% on board. They were just nervous. You have got people with cold feet, but I bet you those feet would have warmed up real goddamn quick if Donald Trump had succeeded. They all would have thrown themselves behind the Trump regime if he had succeeded. They would not have, like, been the resistance or some bullshit. Like, they would have been behind it. People complain about this. They're like, oh, what, so you want basically the entire Republican Party arrested? Like, yeah, I do. Yeah. Oh, don't you wouldn't that make it like a Democrat one-party state, basically? Well, then maybe you shouldn't have had the Republican, like, the all-do sedition. Like, that's not my fault. You can't blame me for that. Like, oh, so you just want to be Democrats? Well, the only other relevant party all participated in a coup attempt. What do you want from me? Like, that's not my fault. I didn't make you do that. I didn't want you to do that. Maybe, yeah, follow the law, maybe, you know? Jesus. It's not even about following the, I don't give a fuck about the law. The law is not the issue here. It's like the fundamental underlying principles of democracy. Democracy is illegal in autocratic systems. I don't pursue democracy because it's illegal. I pursue it because it's good. Democracy is morally just. Representation is morally just. And everything the Republican Party did was a direct contradiction of democratic principles. Um, yeah. We'll see how much of stones Democrats have to like do something about this, but like it needs to be drastic, okay? Because it's not going to be enough to rely on the conscience of the Republican Party of the voters to change things. Fox News is not showing this today. Why? Because Fox News would have been in support of a Trump dynasty. They would have been in favor of a coup. They're not showing this because it makes their political group look really bad. Their objection towards the 1-6 isn't moral, it's optical. The only reason Sean Hannity was pulling off of that is just because they realized the writing was on the wall. Same reason they stopped repeating the false dominion claims about the votes being rerouted to the ghost of Chavez or whatever the fuck it was he said. Yeah, yeah, it's just an optical consideration. The vote, most Republican voters will only ever hear about this hearing through Republicans. And what they're going to hear is that this was a scurrious, scandalous bit of TV propaganda cooked up by Democrats and Liz Cheney, a rhino, designed exclusively to fake, to fake the evidence and to make people think Donald Trump did something bad when he didn't. That's it. Most Republican voters are never going to see any of this evidence, and if they saw it, they would think it was a lie, and if they didn't think it was a lie, they would think it was fine, because they still personally believe that Donald Trump won the 2020 election. This is something that has to be addressed top-down and dramatically. We cannot be relying on the conscience of the voters to decide better outcomes in the future. Um, New mass shooting in Maryland just dropped, by the way. What's your opinion? I think mass shootings are bad. I feel pretty strongly about that. What's a rhino in this context? RINO, Republican in name only. It's a term that far-right Republicans use against less far-right Republicans, basically. Yeah. And in Dino, yeah, Democrat name only, like Joe Manchin, yeah. The fact that Gen 6 happened and liberals aren't encouraging each other to buy guns and train them is just astonishing. Yeah, yeah, I don't want to get into that too much. All I want to say is that like if the government if we do ever reach a severe period of civil like instability, parts of left-leaning cities are going to look like the steps of the Capitol building on 1/6. you know, with these fucking freaks like storming it. Like that's a thing that will happen if there is severe like instability, and they will have guns. You know, it's really up to you whether or not they're the only ones who have them. It looks like we're beginning to reassemble for the Looks like we're getting there. It's been about 10 minutes. Is there enough political power between the Dems and Rhinos to seriously address this? If Biden wanted to, if he really wanted to kick it into high gear, I think you can get away with enough like executive authority to do like mass sedition-based arrests. I 100%, yeah. The DOJ like is a part of his cabinet. You know, it's part of the executive branch. I 100% believe that if the Democrats wanted to go now, would they challenge it? Would there be challenges in court? Yeah, sure. But like, when did that stop the Republicans? Republicans never let that stop them. They were never like, oh, we can't do this bold plan because it'll be challenged in court. Yeah, so at the very least, even if they lose in court, it delays the time where they have to stop. And in this case, we're talking about preventing the end of democracy. The stakes cannot possibly be higher. I have no moral qualms whatsoever about Biden dabbing on insurrectionists by having people arrested for crimes we know they committed. You know, wherever there a justifiable use of executive power, it is arresting people who did crimes, and the crimes are trying to end democracy. It's pretty good. That's pretty good, you know? As justifications go, as how historians will write it, that's a pretty solid line of logic to follow, I think. In my opinion. Love our democracy while we have it. Love what passes for a democracy while we have it. Yeah. I mean, I guess, like, at the end of the day, like, my interest in these public hearings is contingent upon the hope that it will lead to arrests. As I just wisely tweeted with my huge brain, you know, like, doing all of this, and then for there to be no legal repercussions afterwards, is like a mystery novel in which you get to the parlor scene at the end where the protagonist lays out all the evidence they've found implicating one of the characters as the murderer, and then everyone just shrugs and nothing happens. Like, okay. No, it's even worse than that. It's an attempted murder. You find out that the attempted murder was done by, like, the scorned ex-husband of a woman who's standing right there. And in implicating him, you find evidence that, like, they want to kill their ex-wife for reasons that are still present. And everyone's just like, okay. I would just, like, wait for it to happen. Yeah. It's very important that we cover stuff like this. It's very important. Chances of Trump going to prison. The thing is, like, at the very least, if there, like, right now there is concrete evidence that Donald Trump continued to lie about the Dominion voting machines after being told by his officials that there was no evidence, like, lied about a ton of shit. I have no idea why. Like, there's enough on the table. There is enough on the table. Lock him up, yeah. There absolutely is. But I genuinely do feel like a lot of liberals are going to look at this and feel like, the truth has come to light. Now finally Republicans will know how bad Trump is, and they'll vote on their conscience, and no longer will this be an issue. And it's like, I really do feel like that's going to be, yeah. Next hearing is on Monday? Yeah, next hearing is on Monday. Do you think they'll bar him from, well, I can't read the future here. Do you think they're afraid of putting him in jail? I really do, because I think the last thing the Democrats want is to be seen as authoritarian. The Democrats don't want to act decisively because they would be accused of being authoritarians by the Republican Party. Like, if they just went and arrested, if they had, like, a bunch of Republican officials arrested, they'd be called authoritarian. The thing is, like, Republicans already think Joe Biden is an authoritarian. This is like the whole, you know, being afraid of being called a socialist thing. Republicans already think that Joe Biden is a communist who is personally related to Mao Zedong and to Xi Jinping and is also the ghost of Castro. They already think that Biden's an authoritarian. You're not gonna, like, if Biden, if the DOJ like did all these sedition based arrests or whatever, and based they would be, Republicans would be like, "Oh, that's so authoritarian. This is just like when Joe Biden stole the election." Like you cannot, you can't fight for the approval of Republican constituents. They are insane, and if they weren't, they wouldn't be voting for Republicans. You know, it's really that simple. Do you think libs are being ideological in their impotence, or their political analysts genuinely believe that acting authoritarian would be harmful, e.g., to independence? I think I genuinely think, well, it depends on whether we're talking strategists or like random voters. I think that a lot of liberal strategists, like people in like the Biden admin or whatever, genuinely do believe a lot of the shit that they say. Like, not to say they don't lie, they totally do, but you know, in terms of their abstemiousness, I do believe that's like a legitimate quirk of liberalism, where they actually do believe that like the whole "they go low, we go high" thing is effective governance. They're gonna get us killed. Do 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 do. What is this? The Laura Boebert tweets? Yeah, Lauren Boebert. Jesus, that took me a bit. Was tweeting the location of the during Jan 6 was tweeting out the location of the targets as they were moved through the building. Like, yeah, Lauren Boebert 100% like wanted Pelosi to be hanged. She's being investigated for fraud. She should be investigated for treason. I don't, people like, I'm not satisfied with some like Capone ending to this where like people in the Republican Party get arrested for tax fraud, you know? Ian Weatherford, I do feel like this was a very good opening day for the Jan 6 committee, but it will be meaningless unless the Biden administration follows up and the DOJ like does mass arrests. I'm sorry, like I understand the term mass arrests sounds like spooky, but it's like, oh, they were part of an attempted fascist coup. Oh yeah, that's a decent thing to be arrested for. Yeah, that's like that's not a bad reason to arrest people, you know? I'd say that's actually a pretty good. It was people who were attempting a fascist coup, and there was a mass number of them. So, you know, naturally, and they should all get a fair day and, you know, fair trial. It's not a revocation of their constitutional right to due process. Would you accept sexual assault of a minor and sex trafficking for Matt Gaetz? Yeah, whatever happened to that, by the way? Why the fuck isn't he in jail? I don't follow this. I don't the petty shit. Look, Matt Gaetz can be, it can be, for him, it can be sedition and for sex trafficking of a minor, okay? It can be both, right? If the DOJ can indict, they will. The DOJ can indict however the fuck they want. They can indict like crazy. The question is whether or not it'll like hold up in court, you know? Um, but in this case, I feel like you've got plenty on the table. Um, More than enough. Yeah, this is the behavior you're seeing right now from Republicans. Basically, like, hey guys, we attempted a fascist coup and we're going to do it again, but like, pay no attention to the fact that it was Republicans who voted against the price gouging bill. Hold on, gas. Well, we should reply with that. Gas price gouging bill House vote. Where's that picture? You know, where Republicans like none of them voted. Yeah, hold on. Oh, sorry. Yeah. What? Why would there be an apostrophe there? Republicans are capital R. Wait, who capitalizes? Nobody capitalizes. But like speaking frankly here, like what they're saying right now is you shouldn't care about the attempted fascist coup because there's another problem that the fascists also caused. Like that's literally what's being said here. He really is insufferable. I would love to talk with him sometime. I want to talk to more like phony populist types, you know? Who are the Dems who voted nay? Oh, I don't know. I barely keep up with like electoral politics these days because at this point the only shit I care about electorally is what like increases or decreases the likelihood of the fascist coup. Like that I just don't I look, I'm not like David Pacman or Sam Cedar. I don't follow much of the policy stuff. Like all I really care about is whatever like where the how many seconds till midnight we're at with like the death of democracy, you know. That's like the line that I'm primarily concerned with. So you shouldn't only get your political knowledge from me. You know, we all have our specialties. Oh, meanwhile on Fox News, oh, it looks like they were covering it. Nice. Tulsi Gabbard and Tucker Carlson, the Jan 6 show trial is underway. Guys, remember what I said they'd do? Democrats want to destroy anyone that challenges their message and power. Yeah, no, like, yeah, that's the. Wait, is this the guy? Is this the guy that said he was a cuck to his face? Oh yeah, it's Michael Tracy. Dude, he looks fucking blitzed. Holy shit. Why are his eyelids so heavy? Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Why do his eyebrows look like the Latin girls in high school that I was in high school with, where they would shave them off and then draw them back on at like wild angles? Trailblazing new fashion for mediocre white men. I respect it. He's an egg? Yeah, maybe. He was arrested not too long ago for those eyebrows? Nah, I kid. He does look blitzed, though. My eyebrows just naturally go. Wait, I'm not literally shit-talking the eyebrows. I just thought the idea of Michael Tracy plucking his eyebrows and then drawing them back on with like a Sharpie is very funny, you know? I don't think there's anything wrong with angular eyebrows. The one thing that I never got was the really thin drawn-on eyebrows. Those I always thought looked bad. I know that it's a lot of it's like a cultural thing. There's no objectively right or wrong. I never really got that though. Yeah, this right here. This is an example I imagine which is no like particularly unflattering. I never got this. I don't know. I'm sure there are some people out there somewhere who like this, but yeah, I don't know. I don't get it personally. Looks French. Looks French? Okay. Is this fine? I guess this looks nice. I feel like this looks nice because it's so like done up though, right? Like, would this look good if there wasn't all the makeup and like camera settings and everything? Because it's like it looks good here, but it's part of like a really cohesive presentation. But if you were just like walking around the street like in normal clothing or whatever, yes, because it's Rihanna. Well, even Rihanna benefits from like Photoshop, camera angle, lighting settings, makeup, blah, blah, you know, like yeah, so whatever. You know, it's no objective taste here. It's just whatever people are into.